lined up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with the few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. They're driving theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
Good evening, everybody. It is Monday night again. It's 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. It is October 23rd, and you are tuned in the Drive-In Speaker Box podcast. I'm your host, Bo, the Boom Operator.
I'm Slick Doggy, the Grip.
And we are back in the studio. We're going to be talking to you about movie stuff. If this is your first time joining us, wherever it is you like to get your podcasts, we do broadcast live every Monday night, and we're simulcasting on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook Live. And for the past half hour, we have been doing the Twitch pre-show over on our Twitch. If you want to follow us along there, it's very, very off the cuff, and we get to know you, the audience, a lot more, so you can check that out. But we're going to be talking to you about movies. It's been a week. Things have happened. We're going to talk to you about news. Then we're going to talk to you about what's coming out. Then we're going to review a couple of movies that we saw over the weekend. Jake, what did you get a chance to see this weekend?
Dude, I watched the new Tamil movie starring Vijay.
You did. You love your Vijays, don't you?
Dude, actually, that dude's a really good actor, and I like all the movies he does. For sure. So yeah, dude, I do like the Vijay. So yeah, I watched one of the new Indian movies that came out over the weekend.
Well, I went and I didn't get to see. Everybody was wanting to know if I was going to see Killers of the Flower Moon. As you all know, it's Nightmare on Block Street time down at my business, Pinpoint.
So being away for 7 hours is tough.
It's hard. Yeah, that movie was a little too long for me to check, but I will see it eventually. Just it might take me a minute because that's a beast of a time sink. But I did see The Creator, which is one that I've been wanting to catch up on, and I will talk to you about that movie later in the show. But
yeah, because I mean, honestly, if you were at the theater and you weren't there to see Tay Sway movie,
man, yeah,
you were in the minority.
The Swifties out in force again this week at the box office. So Baldwin Orange over on Twitch saying his short review of Killers of the Flower Moon is Scorsese going for There Will Be Blood, but wound up with There Will Be Dull. I mean, I've heard a lot of mixed things. I've heard people that really enjoyed it and was like, oh, it's his masterpiece. And I've heard a couple of people being like, he's kind of long. I mean, that's a long runtime. Like, you gotta really engage with people. I think that's just too long of a runtime. There's a conversation going on in our Discord that I caught snips and clips of about, like, if we're gonna keep having these epically long runtimes, like, it's time to bring
intermission.
The intermission back,
Yeah.
And I think theaters would be smart to do it because,
well,
get them snacks.
The Indian movies that I go watch, when I watch them at the Malco chain of theaters, they include the intermissions. But,
so you can go out to the lobby and get yourself a snack.
Yeah, and take a pee. But AMC edits them out. They snip them out of their film.
I understand. I think I know why they're doing that, and it's because, okay, they need to churn and burn these movies. So anytime they can run off the runtime, that means that they might have more time on the back end to do a whole nother screening. But I think that if they left the 10 minutes in, send people out to the lobby, get those more snacks, although it would probably just be refills of Coke and popcorn, which I guess isn't an additional sale.
Man, I was at one showing one time within intermission. Everyone walked out, used the bathroom, took a phone call or did their messages instead of doing it in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
And multiple people, including myself, all walked back in with, like, candy we got at the concession stand.
Intermissions, man, they serve a great purpose.
Especially because you're already there in the movie and you're like, well, I'm here, instead of, like, running late for the movie and be like, take my ticket, I got to get in there. I don't want to miss the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Intermissions would be...
They would be dope.
Yeah.
It would be dope. And then you could get like Nicole Kidman, like to come back in there, and they're like, the snack bar is where we come to feast. And, calories upon calories. Sometimes heartburn feels good in a place like this.
Yeah. It's like, So sometimes it feels good to be a fat ass going to the snack bar, because here you are. Yeah.
Oh man. But anyway, let's get to some news. Some news happened. I don't have a whole lot on my list. There was one that just stood out at me in my headlines that was kind of a bummer. And it was, you guys know we love the Mission Impossible movies.
Absolutely.
That is an action movie franchise that we can agree on being completely awesome. And this last one just left us. It wasn't a cliffhanger ending. I mean, it was definitely set up for a sequel. It
wasn't like the last Fast and Furious movie where the like mid-action scene end of movie.
But it left you definitely wanting more. But they announced that the new Mission Impossible movie has been delayed for nearly a full year, and it will open in 2025, which is kind of a bummer.
It went from June 28th of next year to May 23rd of 25.
But what's weird is because they shot the films back to back. From what I read,
last week after the show, there was some news saying that, it wasn't really news, but it was saying that they had filmed maybe like half of this one.
Okay.
So they were halfway through or 3/4, and they had to stop with strike. And the strike is something that's pushing this, because even though it seemed like that was coming to an end the other day, they started attacking the video game industry and then just kind of carried on. And so they're still pushing for more money. And there were several actors, like some of the Batman actors, like Ben Affleck and George Clooney and stuff, were like, here's $150 million for everyone. And they go, cool, thanks. Not enough. And yeah.
It's going to be interesting when our world just collapses. Because everybody, I don't know. That's a whole nother episode of his podcast that don't get me talking on like economics and world peace and the fall of civilization, because this whole podcast will take a very dark turn really fast. But Mission Impossible, that's getting delayed. What else did you have, Jake?
Oh man. One of our commenters said R.I.P. Burt Young. He died a week before last. The guy that was in Rocky. He played Paulie. He was Paulie in Rocky.
Hey, Paulie.
Yeah, and we last week we missed mentioning Suzanne Summers passed away too.
Yeah, the Thigh Master.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, a couple of them there. News that I had, because this week, another week of not really rich movie news. There was a cool thing for Halloween, kind of a deal. Currently on Kickstarter, there is a funding going on for a new Bela Lugosi biography book. It's a book,
Bela Lugosi,
but it's called Bela Lugosi, the Man Behind the Cape, and it has 700 photos. From family albums and things like this, and it's actually kind of like a photo album shape. It's kind of like a wider book, but it's from personal family albums, friends and family in Europe and stuff like that.
Interesting.
So it looks pretty cool. You can search for that on Kickstarter. The cover of it, of course, is like sanguine red with his autograph and him as Dracula. Looks pretty cool.
Welcome.
And then, speaking of scary, scary stuff, Tyler Perry just signed a new
Medea's Boo Halloween
4-year, 8-movie deal with Netflix, where he writes, directs,
he's pulling an Adam
produces.
Sandler, huh?
Yeah, produces, writes, and directs 8 movies over the next 4 years.
What's crazy is I was not excited about when Adam Sandler did that, but what was it, the Ridiculous 8 or whatever 8, that was pretty damn funny. And Hubie Halloween was actually pretty damn funny, and I watched that again last week, and I was like, man, I kind of like Hubie Halloween.
It's not so bad.
It's not so
Well,
bad.
and that whole "You're Totally Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah" or whatever movie is supposed
I
to
didn't
be
watch
pretty
that
good.
one. Yeah,
I haven't
I didn't watch
watched
that
it yet, but I haven't seen anything bad about it.
I don't know. It's just like every time that Adam Sandler, I think I'm just throwing the towel, bro. Then he comes back and he surprises you, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get nominated for an Oscar, but then I'm gonna make Hubie Halloween. And I'm gonna fart on everything." And I'm like, "Okay, man."
I mean, it's cool that he can be him and do
He
what
can.
he wants to do,
I'm down for it.
and employ all of his friends.
He gets a pass. He gets a pass from me. He's made a
Yeah.
lot of stinkers, but he continues to get a pass from me because he just seems like he'd be a cool dude.
Dude, I've honestly, in all the interviews, like him and Tom Cruise and Henry Cavill and some of these like big stars like that, there's a lot of people that don't have a single negative thing to say about him. They're like, dude,
bet.
on set, they're the kindest person. Like Henry Winkler, you know.
Oh yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
he's pretty cool.
Like they just give Keanu Reeves, they're just like, hey man, thanks for being on the movie. Here's this gift, or like, you know, what's your name? And then they'll run into each other 15 years later and they're like, Steve, dude.
yeah.
And they're like, what? Me?
How
Do you
did you
remember
remember?
me from the movie? And they're like, yeah, man.
Well, it's like, I worked with Mahershala Ali once, and I was only on set for like a week, but by the third day, he made a point to remember my name, and he was just like, "Morning, Bo, how you doing?" And I'm like, "Great, Mahershala. How are you, man?" He's like, "Pretty good. Hope you have a good day today." And I'm like, "All right."
Well, sure.
That's the nicest guy ever.
Everyone in town liked that dude, huh?
Yeah, he was pretty great. He didn't go out and about much, but he was cool. And then there's always your Neil McDonoughs who are just like, you're working with him. I worked with this dude very
That's why
closely
he plays a bad guy most of the time.
because he is a bad guy, and I worked with this dude like very closely for 29 days. I think was the shoot every single day. And I'm not like a guy in the background. I'm the dude that's like, all right, Mr. McDonough, I'm going to need to open your shirt. I'm going to need to wire this up. Good morning, blah, blah. How are you? And he just like blank. He didn't even ask me what my name was. Like he was the biggest asshole on the planet.
He's his character from the Walking Tall remake.
God, that dude was an asshole. But apparently if you were a producer, he was just like, oh yeah, Neil McDonough's so nice. And I'm like, yeah, I bet, And one time he played basketball during lunch, like with the crew, and it was like, look, he's a normal, just like us. I'm like, nah, I don't fucking buy this act. He's M. Bison, dude. Like,
What?
he was M. Bison in that shitty Chun-Li movie.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh.
The one with old girl that played Lana Lang from...
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
That
that
was a
movie
terrible movie.
blows. Yeah.
It's a terrible movie.
Speaking of weird movies, man, you see that Darren Aronofsky has a new film that's only showing in one location.
No, I did not catch this.
Postcard from Earth. It was filmed with an 18K camera.
Heck, what?
Yeah, and it's being shown at the Dome or the Sphere.
The Dome.
The Sphere in Vegas. That's the
I
only
know that
place it's
theater.
being shown.
I've never been in it, but I know that theater.
It took 12 people to operate the camera to move it and make sure it didn't overheat. And
It's ridiculous.
it's supposed to be like a sci-fi movie mixed with a nature documentary because they just had like this camera in space or something. But an 18K camera on a screen that's 4 football fields completely
just
around
a
you.
dome. Yeah. That's so weird.
And apparently the people that have witnessed this are just like, what?
Duh!
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They wheel you out on a gurney. Like when you're done, your brain's just jello.
yeah, and what's wild is he made this movie for a spherical screen before he ever saw the screen. How do you do
He
that?
just knew.
How do you even make a movie for a spherical screen? But how do you do it without even seeing the?
That's some
the
James
screen?
Cameron shit right there.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to make this work.
but also it's like, how do
All
you?
right, science, get to it.
Yeah, how do you do movies like The Wrestler or Black Swan or whatever, and then you're like, I'm gonna make a movie with an 18K camera for the Sphere, and everyone's like, okay, guy. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. And then a bunch of Disney news, of course.
Hit us with it.
There's some new metrics out. People are getting to see what people watch on Disney Plus, and
So they're
it's-
actually reporting it, or some like weird hacky crap?
yeah, I think someone found a way to see it, but people are watching animated and primarily Pixar movies. Their top 10 is all like Pixar animated stuff, and their MCU, particularly the series, are not up there.
Well, I mean, I was just in the theater watching The Creator this weekend, and another extended trailer from the Marvels like hit the screen. I'm like, who is this for?
Don't be mean to the real Captain Marvel by doing that with his name.
Who wants to see this? I don't know.
Velvet Santa asked what a foreign film would look like on the Sphere. Dude, become a billionaire and find out.
Well, when you were talking about Darren Aronofsky and that Sphere's dome screen, it made me think of I couldn't remember the name of this movie, but it was The Fountain, and that is the kind of movie that would melt your brain in a sphere. I mean, that kind of movie.
Book movie before the flood of comic book movies.
That movie is not one I recommend to a lot of people, but I love that movie. I have a love-hate relationship with that movie. Like, when I first saw it, I couldn't stand it. I was like, this is the most self-righteous, fart-sniffing, like, stupid crap I've ever seen, with a space cell phone and everything. And then, as I've thought about it more, I just appreciate it for what it is and the fact that he made it. But
I just remember when that movie came out, everyone was upset because it wasn't exactly like
the comic book,
the graphic novel.
Yeah.
And when I say everyone, I was like, there's 25 nerds on the planet who are like, no.
They are all in a text thread with each other going, this was not accurate.
Yeah.
Speaking of comic books, though, did you see that Todd McFarlane is like with the Spawn movie? I can't remember who they're. Blumhouse. Blumhouse is taking on the Spawn film.
Well, who's going to be Spawn? Is it still Michael Jai White?
God, I wish, but
needs to be.
He could still do it, but with Blumhouse at the lead, they're like, this is going to be a Blumhouse superhero movie, and
cool.
I think if there is a studio that I feel confident handling Spawn, it's Blumhouse.
Just bring back the characters and makeup from the first one, though, because they were good.
They were good.
Yeah, well, and you know what, too, talking comics like that, the other bit of news there is that it was in an interview with old dude in charge of Deadpool, the director and co-producer of Deadpool 3, he did say that there's going to be a bunch of the cameos that everyone's kind of been expecting and suspicious about, so there's going to be more than just Wolverine.
I feel like that movie is just going to be nothing but cameos, because what movie, because they all blend together, that recently came out and everybody was like, oh, Mr. Fantastic, and he came out there and they're like, oh my God, what does this mean for the next movie and blah, blah, blah. Who was it? And he got killed.
What, in the Doctor Strange 2?
Yeah, it was Doctor Strange. Yeah, and it was like,
where Scarlet Witch just straight up murked Mr. Fantastic and Professor X.
And yeah, because that's right, because Patrick Stewart came out and everybody lost their freaking minds. Because he was
in the hover chair, bro.
Yeah, which was like the best version of Professor X. But yeah, I feel like Deadpool's going to do that. They're like, oh my God, remember how many people just absolutely nutted when we did this, and it didn't really mean anything to any other movies. We're just going to put people in costume and go, here's a character you like, and they're going to go,
They already kind of did that in the second one when he opened the door in the mansion and all the X-Men were there.
Yep. So I think that Deadpool is just going to be tons of that shit, because they probably don't have any good ideas otherwise. They're just like,
but at least Deadpool gets to be fun with it or whatever. So, and then there was really nothing interesting, man. I scoured the news over the past week, and there wasn't. No.
Not a lot.
Star Wars continues to become more and more stupid, just real dumb stuff. That, like, what they call a switchblade saber that Rey had in her evil form in the last movie. Yeah, exactly. Has been extended into more canon Star Wars stuff with High Republic, where some Jedi has it. And it's the dumbest looking thing. It's so stupid.
Neat. Like, why is that even news? Like,
exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, you go to, like, if you
it's
like
a toy. They're like, oh, this toy might catch on. People have another laser sword to play with.
If you look for movie news, it's always just like fan art. Look at the fan art. Check out this fan art and this fan-made trailer.
It is really hard to find interesting movie news. I mean, you look at Screen Rant, you look at Slash Film, you look at like Collider, and it's all a lot of the same stuff. It's just a bunch of
Hollywood news.
bleh.
Yeah, it's all like a lot of the time. It's like, did you see that someone made a replica of Ray's stupid lightsaber with popsicle sticks?
Basically, because that's what's funny is those are the only articles that AI can't write for them. So like, I don't know what to do. Let's report on the popsicle stick saber.
Dude, but when you read these articles, so I don't know if any of you actually read some of the articles that we do. The title, the tagline teaser at the beginning, and then the first line of the article are always the exact same thing, like over and over. Like, because these people don't write, they just get their words in. I'm like, well, if I just repeat this, it'll grab interest and make it where I don't have to type anymore.
Tony Jones asks, is Keanu going to be a part of Star Wars?
I really hope not.
I mean, if the check clears, I think, he'd probably show up and...
No, I hope not for Keanu's sake, because Keanu Reeves is still cool.
He is cool.
Star Wars
It's
quit
not.
being cool in 2002.
It's been a minute.
2002.
Nox Olid asks, what happened with the Lobo movie planning?
Man, people talk about it all the time. That's one of the fan art things, or fan made posters, or fan trailers. Is like, look at Momoa in this fan made thing. I still want Steve Austin. I want that Stone Cold.
It's not going to happen. You know it's not going to
It
happen.
needs to. He needs to come barging in and go, oh, hell yeah, the main man, and start chugging beers and smashing glass. There is a new McFarlane toy of Lobo, and he comes,
Is there?
He comes with his motorcycle.
When are you going to buy that?
No.
Of all the other shit that is in here that you have bought,
Yeah.
why not that one? Is it like $500?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Velvet Santa says, I still don't believe Beetlejuice 2 is happening because all the fan-made posters. Yeah, I mean,
No,
so
there's-
it's happening, yeah. But
It is. That was one of the things in news that I read too. Is they're like, one of Michael Keaton's iconic costumes is gonna definitely return, as told by the costume designer for Beetlejuice 2. It's like, so you're saying he's gonna wear the stripes?
he's gonna be Beetlejuice again?
Yeah. That's like the lightsaber thing. That was one thing I want to say. Ray's dumbass switchblade. The title for this was Ray's iconic dark side turn lightsaber, and I was like, you are using that word wrong. It's not iconic. Everyone in the movie theater went, like not one person was like, up, like the freaking meme. Like not one person got amped about it.
No.
There was not one person that turned to someone they were with and was like, yo, that's cool.
That's the coolest new
Not one person.
saber.
Or she's like, look, it has two blades. Flick. Now it's a staff. Like
I feel like they're just they're trying to recapture the moment that everybody had when Darth Maul had the lightsaber baton, and then like Dingleberry had his like pew pew like lightsaber broadsword crap, and it's like, what? These are
cross guard.
These are just getting increasingly more ridiculous and stupid.
Yeah, the whole thing, like Darth Maul's saber is completely different, but it instantly opened it up for people to be like, what if they did
a lightsaber guitars?
Yeah, and then you have all the people that play like Knights of the Old Republic and stuff. They're like, well, my Jedi had a staff and it was silver. It had a silver blade, and it's like none of that is right, because in the books that Disney was like, fuck these books. Only Sith used the double-bladed saber. It was a Sith-only thing. Jedi didn't use it, but whatever. It doesn't matter. No one truly cares about Star Wars.
Vince said on the Beetlejuice tip, he said, someone said Michael Keaton's best performance was Beetlejuice. At first I rolled my eyes, but then it's really up there. No, Beetlejuice
They haven't seen Mr. Mom.
Maybe they did see Mr. Mom, but no, his performance of Beetlejuice is a really interesting character because it has a lot of range. Like, because he's comedic, but then there are scenes where he's actually scary, and then there's scenes where he's, serious, and what's Beetlejuice like? It's pretty much like his voice is like really gravelly, and then he gets into those like really Michael Keaton-y moments. The Beetlejuice is a great role, and he's not. I think I've read in interviews he's not a big fan of that role. But
Well, I mean, how would you like it playing the creepiest, stinkiest, grossest person you can think of?
oh, come on, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Beetlejuice is a creep and a weirdo.
He is creepy.
And he's like what? Like he's like 2,000 years old, and he just becomes creepier with the times and
Hey
stuff
there,
like
baby.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Come on here for real, man. Knock Solid asked in Wrestling News, do we see the trailer for the Iron Claw? We talked about that in length. What was it, last week?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could check out last week's episode. Did you have any other news, or we want to just talk about what's coming out in theaters this week?
That's it, man.
Cool,
it was,
man.
like we said, it was a pretty slim week. So
It was. Well, coming out in theaters this week, which will be the weekend of October 27th, 2023, for those of you that are keeping up with this. Not a lot of big stuff. One that's not even hitting theaters, but I did kind of want to talk about it. It's coming out on Shudder, but it's from the makers of Reanimator and From Beyond, which are two pretty cool, iconic horror movies. It's called Suitable Flesh, and it's got Heather Graham, who I haven't seen in a hot minute, and Bruce Davidson, going back to X-Men. Talking about X-Men. There's
he was the
Senator guy,
Kelly,
yeah. But it looks. It's a movie, but it's multiple personality. Psychiatrist becomes obsessed with one of these clients, and murders ensue. It's based off of an H.P. Lovecraft story. But you throw around like from the makers of Reanimator and From Beyond, and I'm sold. And then I like Heather Graham. Like, she's fun to watch, and she doesn't take her career too seriously. She will take some pretty fun campy roles. I mean, Austin Powers, anyone? But that's coming out this week on streaming.
Is Jeffrey Combs in it somewhere?
God, I wish. Oh man, the world needs more Jeffrey Combs.
Maybe he is, and just no one
ever
knows. Yeah.
God, I love Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah, you just reach the end of your life, and someone's like,
that was Jeffrey Combs. You're like, oh, of course it was. And you're like, and that was Jeffrey Combs. You're like, oh, of course.
Yeah.
And that was Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah.
Dude, I love Jeffrey Combs. Now I want to go watch The Reanimator. That I just love me, or just any episode of Star Trek. Let's see, coming out in theaters, a rated R comedy, which is a little interesting. It's Christian Slater, Alison Brie, and John Cena. It's called Freelance. And it is ex-Special Forces operative. I'll let you guess who's playing that role. Takes a job providing security for a journalist as she interviews a dictator, but a military coup breaks out in the middle of the interview, and they're forced to escape in the jungle where they must survive. It
looks dumb.
It looks very dumb.
But I'll probably watch it.
I just can't. John Cena, to me, I just don't know how I'm supposed to take John Cena anymore. Like, he has jumped his own shark pretty hard, and I don't know.
What do you mean, man?
I don't, because I felt like he tried to be the next Dwayne Johnson.
Well, yeah.
And he never, I mean, The Rock's cool. Like, who doesn't like Dwayne Johnson?
Who doesn't like John Cena?
Me, kind of.
Really?
I'm not a huge John Cena guy.
I mean, as someone who's been a big wrestling fan, there's been times where I'm like, screw John Cena, I hate that dude. But then, like, in real life, you're like, yeah, he seems like a pretty cool guy in real life.
Well, that's coming out in theaters. Under 2 hour runtime, thank God. These movies, but Freelance coming out in theaters this week. Also, probably only going to come in limited release this week because it's very similar to that movie, The Amazing Maurice, and that movie Mummies. Some of these like foreign-made, produced CGI productions that are aimed at kids, like Pinocchio. Get a kind of an expanded release, maybe not like a completely wide release, but this one looks, I don't know, it looks relevant to my interests, so I might check it out. It's called Inspector Sun, and it's a Spanish film, but of course this will be all in English language when it hits the theaters. But it is basically a Hercule Poirot like spider, right? And he's He's a detective. He's Inspector Sun, and he boards a seemingly normal plane for a vacation. But when a enigmatic millionaire receives a threat for his life, Sun is back on the case. Trapped in a web of lies, Sun must find the culprit before it's too late.
He's a spider trapped in a web of lies.
Yeah.
Weren't you the one just last week saying that you didn't like the Knives Out movies because they were Agatha Christie rips?
But this is not a rip. This is like straight up animated Murder on the Orient Express, and I'm okay with it. Because he's even got the stick and the mustache. Like, I mean, they're just not calling him Hercule Poirot, but he totally is, and it's very obvious. And they're not trying to hide anything. And it takes place in like Art Deco-y, but they're all like bugs, and it's like a Bug's Life in the 1950s. And I don't know. I'm just okay with if you're gonna do that, at least keep it in the same time period. I don't like it. I don't like Alabama, Georgia, Poirot coming down in 2015, like Sunset Paradise Island, playing stupid, and I don't know. It wasn't the same for me. I don't know.
Hey, talking about cool detectives that can solve anything. Hey, in the next couple of weeks, we get the Monk movie. I'm just continuously getting hyped.
What's the release date on that one?
I think it's the first week of December.
It's coming up pretty soon.
It's further away than what I was hoping for, but I'm going to sign up. I'm going to get a Peacock trial just so I can watch it.
Ooh, well, look at you.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it that's coming out in theaters this week. Kind of a very, very weak week. And then, of course, the big one.
Yeah.
Five Nights at Freddy's. Everybody's going to be talking about Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, that's the one that everybody's going to go see.
Is that? Oh, yeah. Halloween's next Tuesday. That's
yeah.
This weekend,
A lot of movies coming out on streaming, horror movies coming out on streaming on Halloween. But Five Nights at Freddy's is probably going to dominate the box office this weekend because of Halloween. Mark Landry, Foghorn Leghorn Poirot. That's now I see a clue over yonder, and yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's. A lot of people are talking about it, the very, very, very successful game. This movie's about a security guard working at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. And during his first night on the job, he realizes that, what happens at Five Nights at Freddy's is going to happen to him. So, Josh Hutcherson, you may remember him from being Disney stuff, and then the Baker Boy from this one, the Hunger Games,
the brainwashed one.
Yeah,
Peter.
And yeah, it's a bunch of kids and a bunch of robots, and Matthew Lillard is in this for a bit. And where have you been, Matthew Lillard? I love Matthew Lillard. He's like always fun in every movie that he's in. I mean, who doesn't like Matthew Lillard? Like, Scream's awesome.
He was weird in that
13 Ghosts is fun.
That season of Twin Peaks, The Return or whatever.
Oh yeah,
he was in that. He was weird.
Dude, he's Shaggy. He's a great Shaggy. He's the only thing that made that movie fun. What's another one? Hackers. Come on, Hackers.
Yeah, he was in that show Good Girls, where he was that lady's husband that was cheating on her all the time at his used car dealership that made her turn bad and join the rest of them.
Dude, he's a fun guy.
Range on him.
SLC Punk. Man, I hadn't thought about that movie in a long time. Anyway. Five Nights at Freddy's. Everybody's gonna go see it. It might dethrone the Taylor Swift movie this weekend, and then I think the Taylor Swift movie might pop back up after everybody gets their Five Nights at Freddy's on, because it's the same audience. They're gonna go, I want to get scared, and they'll go watch Killer Teddy Bears. So that's what you're coming out in theaters this week. You can check it out. That's your Halloween weekend. I recommend staying at home and watching classic monster movies. Like, that's what you need to do with your Halloween. Like, I haven't gotten a chance to do that in a long time because of the monster that I created that has now taken over my entire spooky season, known as Nightmare on Block Street. But I want that for you. This time of year is when I used to just like light some candles, like get have my spooky decorations in my living room, which are kind of there all year now. And then I'd get on the couch, make some snacks, and just binge watch. I did watch Lost Boys again recently while I was making some stuff for the bar in my kitchen, making some syrups and Bertie Bott's things that I do. But got that out of the way. But that was like the only movie that I've actually had a chance to like sit down and go, yeah, Halloween season, and it makes me kind of sad. Do you do anything for Halloween? Do you even like Halloween?
Yeah, sure do. I do. Yeah.
But when's the last time you like enjoyed it? When was the last time you did anything fun for Halloween? Like I remember the last time you even dressed up was like 8 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. It was like 5 years ago.
No.
Yeah.
It's longer than that.
No, because I was at I went to back when it was still a party instead
of
a month.
You did. That's right. So 5 years ago is the last time I remember you dressing up.
Yeah, I mean,
Hitchcock. Yeah, that sounds fun.
I usually just I have to work, and I also don't have the money to do any kind of costume that I'd want to do. So there's not really fun in it. I don't want to go get some pre-made turd costume that some other butthole is going to be wearing that's not going to fit me and everything. So I usually have grand ideas of being a screen accurate Klingon or an Adeptus Astartes or something.
You've never done any of them.
I know.
When's the time?
I don't have the dollars or the time.
Just start early. Because it's. I know that you,
I think about Halloween all year, every year,
and then you never do anything.
And then it's like September, and I'm like, well, there it goes. So
you need to start a GoFundMe just to like get you money to start this. No excuses, no more excuses for Jake. I've got a great costume, and I'll probably wear it up here next week. Got actually 2 versions of the same costume.
I generally end up with car troubles or.
What does that have to do with Halloween costumes?
My money.
Well,
my money goes.
Okay. Tony Jones says that he, on Twitch, does a Hitchcock marathon, which is very cool. Always an appropriate marathon. Vince asked about the update on the classic movie collection that they wanted to do the switch. It was delivered. I have the entire Universal Monster Collection DVD at my house in safekeeping. It will be good. David on Facebook. He's been dressing up. He was a werewolf.
Yeah, he's good at the costume thing and doing like the Jason.
Oh yeah,
and the Michael Myers Michael Myers.
He hasn't done. He did Jason this year. He's done werewolf. It's really really cool.
I don't know who Tommy is, but Velvet Santa says he's going as Crawl from Son-in-Law and his Steven Tyler PJs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, yeah. All right. Well,
one day, again, I will try and dress up for Halloween. I guess. I mean, I don't have any friends or anyone to go hang out with. What's the point? You're working, bro.
Yeah, dude, you always say that, and then like you walk into the bar and there's so many people that are like, "Oh, hey, Jake's here," and you're like, "Oh, fuck this! I don't like any of these humans getting out of here. I don't have any friends. Goodbye."
That's not how it works.
That's exactly how it works. Even your parents are like, "Come on down." You're like, "I
don't have anyone to talk to or hang out with. I don't have a costume, so as much as I do like Halloween,
that's not true. People come up to talk to you, and you're like, "Ugh, that's not fun."
Yeah, it doesn't mean I like them or have anything to talk to them about. But I got a floor. I got like a welcome mat for Halloween in front of my apartment and stuff like this.
Like someone's gonna come trick or treat you in that weird. You can't even get up to your house with a key.
It's not for other people. It's for me, bro. That's what I'm saying. I like Halloween. You know I like Halloween.
David on Facebook says you should be a pirate.
Yeah, that's no.
Why? You make a great pirate.
Pirate's like a little kid costume.
No, it's not.
You'll
be a swashbuckling Blackbeard and chasing booty all night.
Nah, I don't. Dude,
see, this is why you always fail. You shoot everything down before it even happens. You could be. I think a pirate would be awesome. You could have the puffy shirt and the cutlass and the breeches.
If I was gonna do a pirate, I would
do it.
It would be like historically accurate. Like
that's where
I afford that costume.
I got my Victor Frankenstein shirt from one of those historical reenactments. It was like $45.
Yeah,
and it's beautiful.
Not gonna do that. One day, here, you know what? One day, I will work towards being an Adeptus Astartes for next year.
Bullshit! That's like the hardest costume ever.
Nah, it's just a lot of foam. And then you know
That'll
what?
never
I'll take
happen.
the helmet off, and under the helmet, I'll be a Klingon.
All right. Well, let's talk about a movie that I watched in theaters. I went and saw The Creator, and what we talked about a couple weeks ago. Everybody knows him for directing Rogue One, as well as Monsters. He did visual effects for that. But this movie was kind of interesting. Like, it was rated PG-13, and watching this movie. So in movies in Hollywood, the way that the MPAA gives you ratings for your film is based on what's happening on screen. So it's like you get X number of people getting killed, X number of this. You can get one F-bomb. You can get any more than that, and then automatic R, like all this kind of stuff. But this movie, I am really, really shocked that it has been not necessarily talked about at the box office, because I enjoyed this movie a lot more than I thought I was going to. And this movie is tough because this movie like beats you down. Like, it is not a happy movie. I understand why I think that this movie is not really resonating with a lot of audiences at the box office. I think this movie is going to blow up on streaming probably. But, I think people wanted a more like, because Rogue One wasn't a happy movie either. It was like, this is a story about all those Bothans that died. And, The Creator is... There were one of the few times in a theater where I did not expect to see something happen, because I was like, that'd just be too dark. And then it happened. And I'm like, oh shit. They just went there, because you watch enough movies and you see things telegraphed a lot, and you're like, okay, they're gonna do this really awful thing at the beginning to establish that these guys are bad, and then eventually, once you get up to this crescendo of a climax moment, then the good guys are gonna stop it in the nick of time, and you're gonna feel good, and the bad guy's gonna get bad, and then at that moment, the bad guy just like keeps winning, and you're like, oh, and more people keep dying, like a lot of people die in it, like tons of people die in this movie. And it's kind of tough because this movie is really about, it's a classic sci-fi about AI, right? It's about, artificial intelligence, almost like the eugenics wars in Star Trek, where it's like, okay, well, we've created these things, and oh my God, they're accidentally better than us. And there was an accident that happened, and a nuclear bomb went off in Los Angeles. And humanity, particularly humanity, blamed AI and was like, we have to eradicate all forms of AI and all of these simulants, I think they called them, and just go to war. And they were, rounding them up, murdering them, rebuilding LA, and just declared war on all artificial intelligence. And a lot of artificial intelligence have retreated to what is called New Asia, where they're still able to like manufacture, and there's less, but they're all running around kind of like refugees. A lot of this movie takes place like in parts of Thailand, which is how they got this budget. Like this movie looks like a blockbuster, but it was made on $80 million.
I saw that the other day. Yeah.
And the visual effects in this movie are just jaw-droppingly like impressive. Like it has that gritty dystopian, sci-fi feeling that really pulls you into this sort of, it's not post-apocalyptic, but there was, post-nuclear war, but it was just one nuclear bomb that set off like America. And America's very much the bad guy in this movie, which I think probably led to, a lot of average audiences going, man, I don't think I like this too much, saying America's bad guy. And, I don't think I want to watch this communist, socialist, fascist garbage. But, it tells the story of this, the classic lone wolf and cub. Like that was kind of the only, the very formulaic part that I'm like, okay, here we go. And John David Washington, of course, the lead role, he plays this character well. He was an ex-military guy. It was supposed to be, he was undercover, fell in love with the target, blah, 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 set up at the beginning. Any movie that starts out with a couple that are like in bed having like a great romantic moment, you're like, one of them's going to die, and he discovers this AI that's been created, and it's a child, and it has like the ability to do some stuff that I don't want to spoil. But it goes through, like, he doesn't immediately just like want to protect this kid. It's like a long time of his character finally coming to this realization that maybe we're in the wrong, and maybe, you know, artificial intelligence has its own place and they're not really the ones to blame. And so it's kind of an interesting take, because most of these sci-fi movies, it's like, okay, Skynet, yeah, AI's bad. Or, you know, what's the one with Bicentennial Man? You know, it's like, oh, AI's inherently good, but we're the bad ones. This one kind of goes back and forth, you know, and I thought it was pretty well done for you know, 2 hours, 13 minutes. Had a lot of ups and downs. I had moments of like getting really attached to characters that I hated at the beginning, and then I'm like, oh, I'm on your team, and now I'm not. No, and I thought Gareth Edwards did a great job with this movie, but it's just not doing really well at the box office, even though internationally, like total, it has made $10 million over, so it's in the $90 million mark. But I think this movie will do really well on streaming when people start checking it out.
Yeah, it only cost $80 million, but I think their international advertising budget was like
Probably a lot.
Yeah, they didn't do it a lot here. You know what movie about AI and stuff like that, robots and things, is pretty cool, about people and like who's good and who's bad. Like AI is good, but the people around them are bad. Chappie.
Well, this movie had a lot of Chappie vibes.
Yeah, evil Hugh Jackman with a bad haircut.
You know, there was a lot of things that felt reminiscent of Chappie, felt reminiscent of, what was it, District 18 or District 19 or whatever it was. You know the movie I'm talking about, with the aliens, they rounded them up in the concentration camp. District 9, yeah, thank you. You know, it had a lot of those, like those science fiction kind of movies that we've seen, but kind of presented in a new way, and it was enjoyable from start to finish. I mean, it got a little long, but you know, Ken Watanabe's character, of course, it's Ken Watanabe, and he's awesome. And I'll watch him as a like he was like a cyborg AI thing, you know, and the whole back of his head was all like me 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 me, but he was still very much Ken Watanabe. And I think this movie, just people didn't know what to think of this movie, and I'm happy that it got made. But I understand why people aren't watching it, because this is not a movie you take your kids to. And it's not a movie that, if you want to walk out of it feeling good, like, what was it, The Edge of Tomorrow, where you're like, oh yeah, it's just Tom Cruise in a mech suit shooting a bunch of guns, and, you know, Groundhog Day in the future, hell yeah, guns, and then the bad guy gets their comeuppance. But the end of this one is very much like, there's still a lot of people died, and we've got a lot of work to do to kind of heal the world. And yeah, I mean, the final shot is like a person crying and smiling and laughing at the kind of like at the same time, like processing all this grief but smiling that it's over, and it was like fade to black, and you're like, okay. So I recommend it. I think it's fun. I think it was a very good film, and I think it's very much a movie theater film. The sound, the visuals, the performances were all really good. I just think that movie audiences are not ready for movies like this in theaters, you know. It's not quite epic level like Dune, but, you know, it definitely transported me there. So
we get that in a couple weeks, don't we?
No, I got pushed back.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah. Got pushed back. So anyway, The Creator in theaters still right now. I think it was, how long has it been out in theaters? It's been out this was its 5th week, so you might have one more week to check it out before it falls out of the lineup. So there you have it. And Jake, you saw a movie.
I did, yeah.
That's probably not playing anywhere near any of you.
It might be, dude. It's a new big Tamil release. There was a big Telugu movie and Tamil movie that came out this weekend.
What's the name of it?
It's called Leo, Bloody Sweet. No, dude.
Leo, Bloody Sweet.
We need to make a Tamil Nadu boo. But yeah, it's the new Tamil movie starring Vijay. He's a dude that's in, like, if you go on Netflix right now, you can find tons of his movies. Beast, that came out last year, that's really good. Begil, which is a really good one from a couple of years ago. But it's about like this dude who's in this small town in the mountains, he owns and runs this cafe, and he helps like the wildlife rangers and stuff like that. He's just like dude about town. Everyone kind of knows him. He cares about his family more than anything. And these killers for hire are come to this town to hide out because one of them, of course, they have the psycho guy in the group that goes way overboard and makes it where everyone's looking for him instead of just doing their hit job and getting it done. Now everyone's looking for him. So when they come to this town and they pick his cafe when him and his daughter are in there and all this stuff after they've killed several other people in town in the area trying to get money and make their way. But they pick his cafe, and of course, turns out he has some skills.
A set of skills, yeah.
So he's trying to keep it under control. They take a girl hostage, and then they notice his daughter, and they try to take it a little too far. So he beats them all up, and then eventually he's caught. You know, they're like, "Don't move, or we're going to kill this girl," and everything. And so one of the guys goes to kill his daughter instead, and he just blasts them all away.
No.
So it's taken to trial, and now his picture's everywhere. His picture's spread throughout all of India, right? Everyone sees his face, and all these gangs, all these rascals start coming after him and trying to attack him in town. And you're like, well, who is this guy? And you find out he is like an identical twin clone, person. He matches the exact look of this like long lost son of this big gang leader, this like drug runner, tobacco factory owner dude. And so then they all come to town looking for him. And the whole movie is like, is he who they think they are? Or is he just a guy that happens to look like him? And like just endless, insane action ensues. It's actually a lot of fun. The movie opens up with like a hyena running wild and ripping a dude's leg clean off.
Hell yeah.
And then, it's just nonstop, big fights, big action scenes, lots of like the stuff about the family. It's a lot of fun, man. The story was good. Action's good. It, of course, does the whole Indian movie trope of like, it makes you think one thing all the way past the intermission, and then it goes back in time, and then it goes forward. So you get the revelations and like the here's the info you should have had the whole time, but it's like it hits you big to get it like that. So it follows the format, but it's good. It's entertaining. It brings that fun factor of watching a movie to it, and I had a really good time with it, even though our theater that was showing it had the volume on full blast.
Did you have to take some earplugs?
I needed to. Honestly, I think they had
get
it like that because of the Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah, I went into a theater and I put the napkins.
I
one
didn't think
one
about
time, I can't remember what movie it was, but it was not too long ago, and I went in there and I was like, whoa, Jesus. And
yeah, during one of the musical numbers, I ran out and I told the dude, I'm like, hey man, this movie is so unbearably loud in there. Like it's uncomfortable.
like, I see movies all the time.
Yeah. I was like, dude, I'm here every week. I go to heavy metal concerts. Like, bro, this is unbearable. Like, I can't do it. And he goes, oh, just the trailers? I'm like, the movie's been going for an hour, bro. There's 2 more hours. Like, turn it down. And he was like, okay, yeah, we'll get it turned down. They didn't touch it.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think they just have the theaters cranked for the Taylor Swift movie and don't care about any of the rest of us.
No.
But despite that, it was a lot of fun. The twists were good. The action was fun. The CGI, of course, is not anything to talk about, but that's not what you're there to see, to critique the CGI. These movies are made on budgets of like nothing. So it's out there. It's a lot of fun. Recommend it. Look up Vijay on your Netflix.
Safe search on.
Watch some of his movies. Check this one out while it's out there. Watch a foreign film. Explore different cultures and things through film. Have some fun.
Yeah, man. Well, that is playing probably not near you, but if it is, you can check it out. All right. Well, that brings us to the last segment of the show every week, which is the box office.
Oh, just Velvet Santa said, did someone say One Last Job?
Oh.
No, but there was a poster for the new Statham Beekeeper movie. I need to look up and see the trailer.
One less hive.
Yeah.
All right, well, the box office roundup, we're going to give you the top 10 movies in America. These are domestic totals, unless we tell you a worldwide total, because domestic totals are what these producers look for. That's how things get greenlit. We're going to give you the top 10 from October 20th to 22nd, this last weekend, and we'll start our way with number 10, and we'll work our way to number 1. Jake, let's take it away, dude.
Yeah, actually, number 11, holding the number 11 spot, 3 weeks out, $650,000 brought in again by Hocus Pocus. So it's brought in nearly $4.5 million for
its re-release.
30th
That's cool.
anniversary re-release. But then coming in at number 10 for new movies, The Nun 2 in its 7th week out, which they just announced. I think it's a streaming date already.
Yeah,
but
it's already made so much money.
It brought in $880,000. Bringing its domestic total to more than the budget for the creator, $85.3 million.
Wow.
So yeah, they're gonna keep making those. That Conjuring universe is going to go forever. Number 9, The Blind, the story of Duck Dynasty, 4 weeks out from Fathom Events, which is wild for Fathom Events to have something out in theaters for that long.
That's not just a one-night deal.
Yeah. $1 million brought in it by it this past week, so its total is at 15.7.
A little local tie there.
Yeah,
Our homies over at Prisma.
I wonder what the budget for that whole movie was. 5 or 10 million, maybe.
I bet I could find that. Hang on a second. Let's see. Boom.
If it's more than that, I'd be a little.
I don't know if it's that the info's out there yet. So
Right there.
About,
or is that how much it's
prepared with a budget of about $10 million.
Oh, nailed it. Yeah.
So, yeah.
How about that? So not too bad for it. It's made plenty of money for itself. Coming in at number 8, a movie you talked about recently on last week's episode. Finally, 6 weeks out though. A Haunting in Venice, 1.1 million brought in by it. Just shy of $41 million total.
Not what they were wanting. I mean, I think worldwide it's still trailing behind Death on the Nile. And I think that, they're just like, well, I guess there's just people don't want to watch these movies no more.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably hard to afford a lot of those people's salaries with just 41.
It's a good movie. It's a great Halloween movie, but I think it's probably going to leave theaters on Thursday. So,
and then another one from Disney right above it, and it's 4th week out, The Creator, which you just talked about. $2.7 million brought in by it this past week, bringing it up to 36.8. Internationally, which you talked about a minute ago, it's brought in 90.4, so it's just crested its initial budget.
But generally, domestic markets, they want that movie to pay for itself in the U.S.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what they want. And, so this would be considered like a not successful movie by Walt Disney. So
well, and it isn't, because they spent way more than $10 million in advertising and distribution for sure. And then coming in above it, another horror scary movie for this season, Saw X, Saw 10, Socks, $3.6 million, bringing its domestic total to 47.25, and it's 1 month out. So not too bad for that one either. I've heard that that's pretty good for it. And then opening, another one from Disney, because they just always have to have them
30th
all
anniversary re-releases.
Nightmare Before Christmas brought in $4.3 million.
It's only in 1,600 theaters nationwide, so I don't think it's playing here. I didn't see it in any of our local listings. Maybe at the Malco. I didn't check.
Yeah.
Is it at the Malco?
Yep.
Okay.
It was there yesterday.
Damn. I would have liked to seen that.
Yep. I think only one of them had it.
Gotcha.
So one of the 3 or 4 that we have in the area. And then coming in at number 4, holding strong in the top 5 here, Paw Patrol, Mighty Movie, 4.4 million, bringing its domestic total up to 56. And yeah, we were talking about the movie news articles not long ago. That's something that I see about in the news articles quite a bit.
Paw Patrol.
Yeah, it's just constantly like, dude, Paw Patrol's actually killing it. And then coming in above it, a
Despite
movie that,
all the bad reviews.
I was about to say, a movie that has not had anything good said about it, but people are going to watch it because it's a scary
October
movie.
Scary, yeah.
The Exorcist Believer, 5.7, brought in by it, bringing its domestic take up to 54.3. Its distribution budget advertising budget has to be pretty hefty on it.
Oh yeah.
So, I wonder how much of that is putting it into the black. I'm sure it didn't cost too much being a horror movie. It's made over 100 million worldwide. International and American are about
neck and
even.
neck, yeah.
So I'm sure they got their money, but I wonder how much of it was, like we were saying, they want to make it back in the U.S. So, and then opening at the number 2 spot from Paramount, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Which, I mean, not a bad opening for a 4-hour movie. You know what I'm saying? And I think this is one of his more financially successful films that I was reading. So, but yeah, opening this week at number 2.
Yeah, $23.25 million brought in by the new Scorsese movie. And then, of course, the top spot reserved for Taylor Swift, 33.2 brought in this past week in its second week out. It has brought in $132 million in the U.S., another 50 mil across the globe. It's at almost $180 million. Nearly the take of some of the big budget Disney Marvel movies have been brought in by people wanting to see a concert on a movie screen.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen, the state of Hollywood. It's a weird time right now. Well, all right, guys. Well, that is our box office. That is the top 10. It's where you guys are spending your money. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, I'm just gonna put this out there right now just to protect myself, just in case I hit complete and utter exhaustion on next Monday. But I do plan on being here. Maybe we'll talk spooky movies. I don't know. There's nothing in theaters that I really want to see right now. Maybe I'll see Killers of the Flower Moon, but I'm going to go ahead and say probably not.
You're not going to watch the John Cena movie, bro?
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm probably not going to do much of anything but live at Nightmare on Block Street for our final week. So thanks, Tony Jones, Twitch, saying great show. You have a good week as well. But yeah, I plan on being here next week. But this weekend is historically always our busiest weekend of the year, and it is we're just firing on all cylinders. I mean, that's why the producer's not here this week, is she's just dead. She's like, I want to sleep, I need to clean, I need to do laundry, blah blah blah. But she also works at Pinpoint. Anyway, we will see you guys. Until then, don't forget to like and subscribe wherever it is you like to follow us, be it Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. We prefer Twitch, but that's up to you. You can catch that pre-show if you follow us on Twitch. And you can always download this podcast wherever it is you download your podcast from. We have the audio version that's out there. You don't get any of the fun stuff, like all the chats and the interactive stuff. You don't get to see comments from Twitch, like Loj Webb saying, don't worry, guys, he's here for the last 30 seconds of the show. But like and subscribe, follow. Shout out to Ali Sparkman on Twitch, just saying thanks, guys. You are welcome. And what's our Discord? I'm sure Vince will throw up our link to our Discord if you want to chat with us throughout the week. There's always conversations going on there with all of you guys. So.
I'm making my way back in. I'm
making my way
having a
back
presence in the Discord again because everyone clamored to have me back.
That's right. I mean, the Discord is created so that they can talk to you, Jake.
Oh, really?
It's true. But, all right, guys, we'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Later.
As you leave the theater, folks, please be careful. Don't let this happen to your car. Be sure to remove the speaker before you leave. If you should accidentally pull a speaker loose, please turn it in at our snack bar or box office. Thank you.